Hello, everyone. It is Work Together Wednesday. Melinda Schmitty Connect here with Amy Culver. And in case you didn't see last week's part one, go back and watch the recording because she had some really great tips for how to improve your LinkedIn profile with keywords and how important it is for searchability and just some great information. So I highly encourage you to go back and watch last week's recording. And if you did implement and update your LinkedIn profile because you were with us last week, let us know. Put it in the comments because we would like to hear from you and know that people are using this great information that we're sharing.
Yes.
Amy is she has a lot of different businesses. She's mompreneur extraordinaire, but for your LinkedIn specifically, you've used it mostly for your recruiting business for 15 plus years, and then more recently, you've started leveraging LinkedIn for your other small business projects that you've launched.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. And today, and this is a question I get asked often. I don't know how to use LinkedIn. People send me requests. I accept the requests. Now what? I don't really know what's going on here. So you're going to give us your top 3 tips for how we can actually leverage LinkedIn to grow our network and then turn those connections into business growth, profitability, right?
Yes.
Okay. Take it
Yes, yes,
away.
yes. Thank you, Melinda, so much for having me here today. Yes, as she mentioned last week, we talked about setting up your profile because that's the number one thing. You've got to do that first. So if you don't have your profile yet, watch that video. And today I have come up with 3 of my top tips, 3 things that you can do that are going to help grow your business network. And as Melinda mentioned, I have been in the recruiting space since 2003, and as long as LinkedIn has been around, all right, sorry, mom likes, there is a child that
That's
I'm
okay.
trying
It
to
is
give
it's
them.
real life.
It is real life. Okay, thank you. Here you go. All right. So as long as LinkedIn has been around, this is my number one source of recruiting. So anyone, if you're not a recruiter out there, though, this is still for you. Anyone, I was reading this earlier. This was published in January of 2020. 600. So just think about January to now and how many more people are online. Okay, but in
Yes.
January, there were 660 million users on LinkedIn.
Wow.
660, right? So and it's primarily made up of B2B, users. So
Mm-hmm.
think about that as a small business owner. Think about, if you are in real estate, if you have social media marketing, if you have I'm trying to think of, even a small business is a retail location. That's probably the number one thing I hear from other business owners. Oh, well, I'm retail, so it's different. No, you're still getting your presence. You need to get that out there, and especially more than ever, maybe you're having to change up your business. Maybe you're having to do, more shipments or more online work. So you want to be in this space. Um, I took some other notes, and so it said that 94% of business to business marketers have reported that they've started using LinkedIn to distribute content and not simply a place to look for jobs or to network. So that's the other misconception, is that people think, someone like me or someone looking for a job, that's why you need to be on there. No, this is a place for you to put your content out. So someone like Melinda, who's in social media marketing expert, this is a great place for you, to get your content out there, to get blogs out there. So the way that you get your stuff out there is by having connections, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not the same thing that you think about like Facebook. You're not. It's people have their business hat on when you're on LinkedIn. So I talked about this a little bit last week, but my number one thing is you want to connect with people in your network. So after you get your profile in, it's going to ask about adding connections. You want to link that to your connections. You want to say yes. You don't want to think, oh no, so and so's going to scam out there. What? Like, take that off. No one's thinking that you're looking for a job just because you're LinkedIn. If you are employed by someone, if you're a business owner, you don't want to think, oh, you don't want to have the mindset of, oh, people are going to think I'm trying to sell them or prospect them. Take that hat off, get an open mindset, and think, oh wow, what a fantastic opportunity for me to get my business out there more. So connect with anyone you can. Anyone that's in your contact list, say yes, okay? And if they're not on LinkedIn, they're not even going to get the request. But I promise you, if they're in your contacts and they're on LinkedIn, they're going to want to connect with you. And if not, who cares, right? Okay.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a way, you could say that showing up on Facebook is like showing up at the neighborhood party, the block party.
Okay.
And LinkedIn is like going to a Chamber of Commerce networking event.
Yes. Correct. Thank you. Very good. Yes. Very good analogy. Yes. So that's an exact perfect way to explain it. Yes. So I'm going to look up. Okay. So in that same vibe of connecting with people in your network, connect with, look at people that have, it's all about keywords on here. So think about, and I want you to think about it like this. Think about the interests that you do want to share with your network, right? And so go to those interests on here. So for me, health and wellness, that's a big one for me and my life personally and professionally now. So I am going to do keyword searches for health and wellness, and maybe I reach out to those type of connections. Maybe I reach out to people in my same industry. For me, that's other recruiters, people that are in the recruiting industry. But really, I haven't always connected with those people as much, but then I did because of HR. But the other side, for me personally, just so you can look at it with your business hat on, I am recruiting people in the legal field. So I'm wanting to connect with attorneys, paralegals. If you are, if you're a real estate agent, you can actually connect with anyone because anyone can have a need for your house. But you want to bring this section down even smaller is what I want you to try to think about. So maybe for real estate agent, it's really about connecting with people in your market, maybe not just Atlanta. Maybe you need to scale it down to Roswell. Maybe you need to scale it down to Marietta. You can put that in here so you can search locally and build that. Maybe if you're real estate, you want to network with appraisers. Maybe you want to network with people that own a termite control business. Because these are going to be new connections that maybe can save your clients money that you don't know about. So think about it really in every facet of your business. I want you to pull back. I am a big believer in always having a notebook and a pen next to me. And I am always writing down other keywords as I'm doing things. I might pop in health and wellness and then go, oh, I need to be marketing or networking with fitness gym owners. That's what, so your brain is going to keep dissecting and pulling back the onions and just keep making notes. And you know what? Maybe you can only spend 30 minutes a day on this because as Melinda and I were just talking, like you've got to do revenue producing activities first. But if you're a business owner, you've got to make time for this, right? So maybe 30 minutes a day, you're working on your LinkedIn profile. So you've got your notebook, and then I'll cross off the keywords that I searched and then go back to that later. So look at your industry, look at your people that could be good influencers for your business.
Mm-hmm.
People, online businesses that are big in that space could be a good place for Melinda as a social media expert to go back and to connect with those people. So think about your interests, your industries, your influence, the careers, all of that which makes up the type of person that you want to be connected to and want to have influence, and your content, your information, anything about you to LinkedIn. Connect it all back. That's your connection bucket. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. If that sparked a question, drop it below. Drop us a heart if you love that. The next thing you want to do, actually, does this still go with, yeah, this is number 2. Okay, so that was my number 1 tip. Your number 2 is in your recommendation So that didn't really have anything to do with our profile, right? But if you come down now, so I was just on this is my main page, my profile, um, in LinkedIn. We're not share screening that yet, and we don't even have to yet,
No,
Melinda.
I switched to your screen.
Oh, okay. But if you come all the way down to recommendations, right? So you've got recommendations here. I need to practice what I preach. I have not updated this in a while, but it was for a good reason. That's not an online discussion, but so for the normal person, there was a lawsuit in the past, and I had to take down recommendations and hide business things. So that's a fun another story. But that's what happens when you're good at what you do. People come after you. So so ask for a recommendation. Go and give recommendations. Okay, so twofold. Think about, and this section is really about people that you have personally worked with, right? You can't be sending these out to just, I'm not going to send Melinda a recommendation on my legal recruiting skills because she can't speak anything about that. She's heard me talk about it. She's heard me say I've got a business. She's heard me say I've been doing it for a long time. But at the end of the day, she has not been a client in that area. She's not been someone I've helped find a job. Just because she's my friend and a business colleague, there's no reason, right?
Right.
So you don't want to you need to send these to people that can actually speak to a recommendation based on your business merit, whatever that is, right?
And I want to point out that you can recommend somebody who was a client of yours. So it doesn't have to be that they provided a service you're recommending. There's an option, and I can say, Amy was my client, and here's why I appreciate Amy and how I enjoyed working with her. So if that's your relationship, that's an option.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, two of mine right here. One is the client side, and one is the other side. And so or you as a LinkedIn profile person, you also, when you're looking at these connections and you're looking at people that you've done business with, go make them a recommendation, right? Give them a recommendation, give them accolades. And I personally love to do that before I ask for someone to give me a recommendation. I'm a big believer, and I want to give first before I then feel like I can take, so to speak. So that is a great tip that I have, especially if you're getting on here, you're wanting to get that presence. Now, people might look at that stuff, and so think about who sold you your house. Think about who you've done business with. Think about your industry, if partners, anyone that you partnered with together. Think about, and especially as you're adding to your connections, you're going to start having those thoughts. Write down on your piece of paper, put a star, to go back to do that later. And sorry, my oldest was telling me he's going to go get the other ones together. I love having the Big Ten, yeah. So recommendations, endorse people, keep that to truly knowing, right? Not just hearsay, but think about someone you connected with.
Be authentic. Don't write flowery sentences that are, keep it to the point. Here's what I like about this person.
Yep. Yes. Facts, short, simple. Absolutely. And I believe my last and final tip, and this is the biggest one, okay? So this is a big one, probably something you may have skipped. It's the groups. The group section on here, and with this, I'm actually going to show you another tip. So there's a lot of sub-levels in this, but you can join up to 100 groups. Yes. You can manage up to 30 groups at a time yourself. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. And you can have 20 pending groups. So you could conceivably have a wish list of 150 groups, let's just say right now, knowing you can have 100 active. Maybe there's some other ones you've ran across that let's just keep it on 120 though. You could have 120 groups, 100 and then 20 pending, because you want to circle out your groups too. Okay? That's another high level feature, but right now, take the time to get into groups. maybe add 5 a day. Okay, there's several ways that you can do this. One, linked. So if you're scrolling down here, you're going to come to your last box, and it's going to have interest, and it's going to have lots of different things, but you want to expand it and see all. And when you do that, so this is a newer feature. They're always changing how you can find it now, but this is now where you're going to find your groups. So I have a few big influencers that I follow. I do think that this is important too, because these people, business minded people that are following Gary Vee, look how many people those are. Those are people, Sarah Blakely, like these are people that are going to be probably business-minded entrepreneurs that may be interested in my home-based business opportunity. So that's why I'm following them. You may want to follow people that are big influencers in your industry. These are companies that I'm following, quite honestly. A lot of these are previous or clients of mine, and so I want to know what they're doing. I haven't updated this in a while, but there's a lot of law firms on here because I can see what the employees are doing too. Like it's all connected. But here's your big section is your groups, okay? Unemployed changing jobs. So I'm just going to click on this one.
Groups have changed quite a bit in the last year, 18 months on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think it's changed a lot, but the last year has been the most changes with the groups. So with the groups, the number one beauty of a group is when you're connected to these groups, you get 50 messages a month that you can message people that you are not connected to. So that is an invaluable tool that, and there's different thresholds in LinkedIn. At the free threshold, you only get so many messages, so many connections a month. So you are always wanting to think of creative ways to expand that, because you should be maxing out whatever level you're at on LinkedIn. My goal is to max it out. I am at the premium high one. So I try to max that out. So if it means I get 500 messages a month, I never have extra messages on the table. I've sent 500 messages. So if I can connect with, 100 people a day, I am connecting with 100 people a day. So in groups, so I'm always out of in-mails. If I went to send someone an in-mail right now, I probably can. Let's just see if I can. Okay, so it's probably because it's a new month though. So, but the reason why it's a free message, did you see that? Okay, this guy, Roy, if you're out there watching, hi Roy. We're third level connections. We're not connected. So if you're new to LinkedIn, you're not going to know all this. But normally, if I was going to send Roy a message, it would not be free. It would take away from my bucket of free emails. But because I have 50 free messages in my group's connections, because I'm in this group, I can email Roy for free. So that's the benefit. But you don't need to worry. I mean, what you need to worry about is getting to groups. So I can get into groups here, and here is where you don't want to be spamming, right? You want to provide value. You want to talk about, if I'm in an unemployed or changing job group, I want to talk about opportunities that I have. Maybe I want to share some inspiration. I will tell you, I'm trying to incorporate new things I've learned in social media into LinkedIn, because it's always been such a different bucket for me. But this is not where you want to come in and start spamming everyone about things, right? It's providing value, it's sharing, but it's also a way to connect with people. So you're in this unemployed changing jobs. I'm coming down. Let's say Roy is local. Let's say he's in Atlanta and he is at a company that I am trying to build a relationship with. I may now reach out and connect with Roy. Okay, so I'm going to click on him. And then you can click on more, and you can actually connect. So probably what I would actually do first, because I always try to connect with people first, because then that also opens up a free way to communicate. But I may connect and I would add a note and I would say, "Hi, Roy. We are in the unemployment group and thought it would be mutually beneficial for us to connect."
And that is a tip that I tell people. You know, LinkedIn will come up with people that you may want to connect with. And if
Yes.
you just hit that connect button, it goes
Yes.
off with no note. And I think that's not a good idea. You want to take the time to write a personal note when you make any connection requests. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. Okay, I'm going to give you two different examples. So for in a situation like this where Roy is going to look at my profile and it may not make immediate sense why I would be reaching out to him, I absolutely agree that you should include a note, and that's why I would do this, because he's going to see the unemployment group, he's going to see my name and see that we are connected that way anyway, and 95% of the time he's going to click okay. And if he doesn't, I don't care. I never go back and look. I'm not worried about it. I'm just trying to build my network. But in the case that Melinda's just talking about, where it does say that connect, I will click on those. I have one rule. If they are in the legal field, if they are an attorney, a paralegal, a legal assistant, because I think me personally, my profile blares so much. I know I am the #1 legal recruiter in Atlanta. So anyone that is in that space, they're going to see how long I've been doing it and want to be connected to me. Like, I'm just going to be cocky about it because it's true. So I feel like I know, but that's the only time I do that, because anything outside of that industry, I don't feel like my profile is blaring why in the world I would reach out to someone. But I feel like if you're an attorney, if you're a paralegal and you're in Atlanta, I feel like I have justification for doing it. So that is, and I feel like, though, for other people, I feel like if it's someone that is your dead on, if they are your dead on target, you just know, looking at that one shot, that they're a good match for you, and they would know it looking at you. I think you can do it, because, as a small business owner, if your profile is glaring that you can help me with my social media presence, I would connect with you without thinking it was weird you didn't include a note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I think that I have a similar exception. If it's somebody that I know well,
yeah,
and I'm just not connected with them on LinkedIn, but I know they'll recognize my name,
yeah,
a note isn't necessary. But if
yeah,
it's a stranger or somebody that I've just met recently, then I include a note. Hey, it was so nice meeting you at the lunch the other day. Let's connect.
Yeah, yeah. And I will tell you another little trick and hack. If you're really in the I want to grow my network stage, you can, if you max out your numbers on your desktop, you can keep going on your app. So you can connect with a lot more people on your app than you can on your desktop.
Using your mobile phone app.
Using your mobile, yes, exactly.
Okay. I didn't realize they weren't connected and didn't. They don't sync.
They do not sync for now, right? We'll see how long that. So I'm going to send this invitation just to finish that up, and it really is that simple, right? But so this is where trial attorney, this guy, I'm going to click connect. Partner, I'm going to click. But I know that this is a pretty big exception, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for everyone. But true, but that's also in a different bucket. So there's, I can go through here and maybe on a clicking spree and it'll cut me off. I don't even know what the number is. But then I could come back in and do it the slower way and you could do more. So going back to the groups, though. So professional groups, join up to 100. You can message up to 50 a month. This is a invaluable tool, guys, though, for just growing your market outside of that first reach, outside of that. And you can search it to, local. That was the other thing I wanted. So when you do keywords here, that was one thing I wanted to show you. So if you're just on your main profile, let's just use, let's say real estate agents. So Atlanta real estate. So I'm just in the main search. I search it here, but then I go over to specifically click on groups. So then it's going to pull up groups in the, with these keywords. I personally always try to look for, numbers that are higher. You don't want to be in a group where maybe there's only 3 people that are, or maybe you do, but, this is, it just depends on what your goal and what your thing is. But then you come down here, maybe you're in commercial real estate, or that was New York, I just saw. Oh, no, that's California. So you can search things like that. You could search, I don't know, even more specific. Then you could also, let me see, you can search keywords on the main search bar. And then it may also show you other keywords. So then maybe you want to go to, let's see if it even just gets more specific. Oh, and the other big thing is you can obviously start your own group. So then that's also another good tool as let's say you're in an Atlanta real estate group and you're wanting to pare it down more to a Cobb County real estate group. Maybe you've started connecting with people, in your Atlanta group, and then you can start sharing, hey, listen, I'm getting ready to start a group in the Cobb County group. That could be your reason to connecting to people too, because sometimes it feels uncomfortable to just be connecting to connect. First of all, LinkedIn, that is what people are doing. So I want you to feel comfortable doing that on this platform. Like you said earlier, like think of the Chamber of Commerce. Think of attending a networking event where your point is to network. People already have that hat on, but you want to make it beneficial to you. And so whether it needs to be more local, whether it needs to be more industry specific, like you can fine tune this, then, go into these groups and then you just request to join. So you request to join here. I'm going to hop back into one that I'm in so that you can see once you're in here. One, if there's someone, so if I'm in the recruitment network and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I met Betty Sue the other day and she's a recruiter, I bet she would like to be in this. You could invite her, you can connect with her, you're adding value. But then the other thing you can do is you can see all of the members that are in this group. I now have contact with 590,000 new people that are in this type of recruitment space. So because I haven't used my 50 yet, I could conceivably go down and message, again, I would be very selective if I was doing things like this because you only get so many. And there would be a lot of time involved on the next step of who I was going to message specifically, depending on what it was for. But what I also do is another trick, come down here and let's see, okay, there's an owner, Shanae is a second connection of mine. Looks like she's an owner of a hair salon. I have hemp products that have shampoo and conditioner and would be great for a salon owner. Maybe I click on her and I don't send her a message, but I reach out to connect. And then I add her a note. And then I say, hey, Shanae, we're both connected in the recruitment network group. Thought it would be mutual beneficial for us to connect professionally. I always do usually add that on here. I forgot professionally on the other one. Especially if I'm doing that with a man, just to avoid any confusion, I just always like to include connect professionally. I don't know why. But then I would send this invitation to her. I'm not trying to sell her. I just literally am trying to connect. And then, she's in South Africa. I've been building a team in South Africa. So then later I would connect with her on that. So that is a way to, again, expand your network by using the groups. You can message, but then you've got other little ways that you can expand your network by connecting, because then once you connect with her, then it's going to open up other connections for you in other areas.
Awesome. I love it. I need to wrap it up because we're coming up
Yes,
on the half hour mark.
yes,
But I
that's
will
good.
just, I love everything you shared, and I will just mention briefly one thing that you didn't quite touch on,
Yes,
and that is liking and commenting what other people are posting.
yes,
So that's one way to demonstrate interest. It's like being at the Chamber of Commerce and you meet somebody and you don't immediately say, "Would you like to buy what I'm selling?" You
yes,
say, "What do you do? You know, how did you get in
yep,
this profession? How long have you been doing it?" So taking the time to,
yes,
on their profile, you can click and see, click, I think it's mostly it's the more button, and then you can see their activity.
yep.
So it will pull
Like
up
a
their
group.
recent
Yeah,
things that they've commented,
yep,
and you can comment and like and do that 2, 3, 4 times before you say, "Oh, by the way, salon owner, do you have any products in your store that are hemp based?"
yes, yes, yes.
So
I
you
totally
want to
agree with
give
that.
first, you want to get to know them, you want to demonstrate you care about them before you make any kind of, "Hey, could we partner together or talk about some type of
Yes,
business situation?"
yes, totally, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, all
Awesome.
good stuff. I'm trying to think. And then what with the groups, the only other thing that I did not mention is that there is a LinkedIn Discover, kind of like with your contact feature. Um, there is another feature where it will, once you start, you might think, oh my gosh, how am I going to come up with 100 groups? Once you pick 3 or 4 groups, it will start giving you recommendations of other groups based on those groups to help you expand on that. So don't let it overwhelm you. It's going to, the more you start playing with it and put in ideas, it's going to give you some suggestions of other groups that might make sense. um, and then my only other thing was going to say, you do have those personalized emails every month. You only have so many, but use them wisely. Have a plan. Think about it as you're walking up to them at that Chamber of Commerce meeting, right? Because you've only got a few a month. So if you're not willing to pay premium and you want to stick in that, don't just start firing off messages because you're not going to get far. Use those personalized emails deliberately. And to piggyback off of what Melinda just said, show them some love before you use your in-mail, because then it's going to all flow better. So
Right.
those are all my tips.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Thank you all.